Call the meeting to order. Do we have a quorum, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mayor.
And I think it's your turn to do the pledge and the invocation. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you please bow your heads? Father, we come to this day. We are so grateful that we have been called to do the business of the city. Today, we just ask you to give us wisdom, Father. We thank you that you're protecting so many, Father, during this cold weather, all across the Midwest, all across our country. We ask you to keep families safe, Father, especially here in Garden City. We help us to be mindful of the decisions that we're making. Today, Father, protect all of those who need to be out in the cold weather, whether it be our first responders, or whether it be those linemen who are making sure that everything is working, Father. And today, we are so grateful that we have people who are skilled in our city. We give you glory and honor, Father. We ask that you protect those who are without heat and without power. Father, we also ask that you just help those who need help, Father, to find it. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Next item is the minutes from the last meeting. Any changes or updates to that? None being, they'll stand as approved. Next item, public comment. This is a time that we set aside for anybody that would like to come forward and speak on the issues that are not on the agenda at this time. If you want to speak on any items that are not on the agenda, please come forward and state your name for the record.
Yes, you can.
Not yet.
Oh.
Not.
Okay.
He's down the agenda.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Moving on to item number 6.
6A, the governing body is asked to consider and allow the mayor to proclaim March 2nd, 2021 as Read Across America Day in Garden City, Kansas.
I would move that we approve the mayor to proclaim March 2nd, 2021 as Read Across America Day in Garden City, Kansas.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Euler seconded.
Commissioner Euler, second.
Either one.
Any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We do have somebody in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of this.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to be here this afternoon and give a few words on the education's behalf.
And
My name is Gil Perea. I am the president of the Garden City Teachers Association. And I just wanted to thank you for passing this resolution and recognizing Read Across America as being very important to education. I would also like to extend a welcome to our mayor to read the proclamation or the resolution at our school at Alta Brown Elementary on March 2nd.
I'll get it on my calendar.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 6B. The governing body is asked to consider and approve a request from Garden City Public Schools to allow the mayor to proclaim the week of March 8th through 12th, 2021 as National School Breakfast Week in Garden City, Kansas.
Entertain a motion for that proclamation.
I'll make a motion to approve the mayor to proclaim the week of March 8th through the 12th, 2021 as National School Breakfast Week in Garden City.
There's a motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by
I'll second.
Commissioner Dick. Any discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And we do have somebody from the school district here to visit with us about that.
Thank you for passing the proclamation. My name is Tracy Johnson, and I'm the food service director for the district. And National School Breakfast Week is going to mean a little bit something different this year. We've had a lot of changes due to COVID. We've been going at this for almost a year now. Our meals have changed. We are no longer under the school lunch school breakfast or school lunch program, we are continuing the summer program. So what that means is everybody eats free. There's a lot of talk in the USDA and in the US that this may continue. So there's exciting news to come, I'm sure. It's going to be a change, no matter, it's never going to go back to the way it was. So I thank you for having me here. And also, Mayor Cessna will be reading the proclamation at one of our schools on March 8th. I was going to say Alta Brown, but maybe we better pick another one.
Well, just let me know and I'll get it on the calendar.
All righty.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, wow,
All right,
that's
awesome.
great.
Okay, 6C, Oscar Rivera, Director of Global Soccer Association, will present to speak to the governing body regarding the plans for the 2021 Global Soccer Association. And he has a presentation, so let me get that pulled up.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yes, I have some paperwork to share with you.
If you just, is there one folder for each person? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer.
It looks like you get one, maybe?
All right, well,
Hello,
hello.
again.
Again.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Oscar Rivera. I moved here in 2016, started working for the school district. There, as a project, as a result of the project of an intervention class in Bernardine City, we started as in a small soccer team, Bulldog soccer clubs. We started playing. Our first game was for the Rex tournament, okay? And we were trying to teach the basis of the game in these kids that pretty much were players rejected from other competitive teams here, local, plus kids that were part of the ESL program and the newcomers program. Those were kids I was mentioning before last time. That in class they could be very quiet, they pretty much don't show their real personality. But with a soccer ball in their feet was something very, for me, amazing personally, because I could notice how powerful the soccer is in this case, you know, how that can bring the best of people and communities. And if
You just tell me when and I'll,
Thank
you ready to go to the
Thank you
next
very
one?
much.
Okay.
And something very fast, I'm gonna say it, about soccer, the most popular game in the world. About 40% of the world's population practice soccer.
Mhm.
You know, that's a lot of people. But in places like Europe, South America, Africa, that's a lifestyle. Here is something totally different and new. Okay, but we can talk about some benefits, physically, mentally. You know, before a game practice, kids have to start with stretching, walking, jogging, and so all these activities help the kids to develop many skills. But if we can go ahead with the next one.
Yep, of course.
Global Soccer Academy right now, we have, I'm going to call it 2 branches,
Mhm.
or sports organizations, Bulldog Soccer Club and Garden City Soccer League. And going with the next one, please. This is pretty much something that personally gave me a lot of, or a great satisfaction, you know, because to my family, to my players, to my friends, to our community, because of soccer. And we started in 2018, like I say, how we started. Then we focused not only in preparing players, but people, good people, you know. What if this kid, when they get 17, 18, 20 years old, and or they can get an injury, what will be of this person for the community? You know, that's why we started in school. For me, as the coach, kids the way they misbehaving in class, in home, at home, missing assignments or bad grades, please don't come to practice. Start with that, okay? Then we always, because everything I learned personally, let me tell you, I used to play soccer professionally in Honduras, and all what I learned in soccer is helping me in my life now, starting with never give up. And if we can focus in the last one, this is a project, a long-term project. The result in soccer and many other sports, you'll see it in 3, 4, 5 years. Okay, so that's what I focus in kids from 8 to 17 years old. And if we can thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so this is something that we created last year. Just because after 2 years, all the teams pretty much asking me to take over. Were some irregularities. I'm gonna say it with people who were organizing before, and we fixed the stuff. This first year we'll learn a lot, mostly me, because I didn't want to take it because it's not the same that an example. I read kids than adults.
Mhm.
The reaction will be totally different. That's what I didn't want it. But seeing and me being a player, yes, we need to fix some stuff. And if you can see, we started with 14 when before we were like just 8. Okay, where a lot of people requested to play soccer is, I told you before that when I stand in front of you, soccer unite us. That's pretty much our slogan. Soccer unite us. And we pretty much are helping the referees, local referees, because every game we have to pay them. Every team pay a referee team for it. But not our point, since I was working with kids before, the condition to take over this adults league was okay. Let's play for a purpose, with a purpose. What are we playing for? Just to play, or we're gonna help, use soccer to help someone or something? In this case, if I already were working with kids that, for example, were kids that now me working for Tyson and taking care of every new employee, because I'm one of the instructors there in orientation, knowing their stories. I have a whole week to know their stories. I had a whole school year to know the stories. And pretty much these people send almost the half of their salary to help their families in their countries. So it's not that here they will, because they have to pay all the bills and everything else. So it's not that, okay, my kid, I'm gonna go and pay this for right of competitive. Okay, it doesn't matter, because this pay-to-play system is killing the sport in this country, because it's being exclusive, not inclusive. Okay, so not everybody can afford it, unfortunately. And I'm talking about just Garden City, but seeing the example of the whole country, you know. But in this case, let me see if we can.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. I
You'll
really
just
appreciate
point
it.
at, if you just
Yeah.
point at me when you're
Yeah,
ready,
yeah.
I'll change
Thank
it.
you. And this is because before studying Bulldogs, I was for 4 years the head coach in Horace Good Middle School, and these are the problems I already identified. The pay to play, I already told about it, and then the knowledge.
Mhm.
Before I decided to jump and start doing this, I was all over the soccer fields and open fields here, just seeing that, gosh, these kids just go to the field, kick the ball, and try to score. That is more than that, because the natural turn of soccer, for soccer for the kids, is just amazing. About, I was reading last night, 51% of our population is Latino. We have that here, you know, and here we grow with that. We feel that it's not that going just to sports. We feel that. And in this case, for me, being a coach, professional soccer player and all that, honestly, it was pathetic to see that they send the kids just kick it. Or to the coaches, that they are volunteers because their kid is playing there, okay? So why don't take that energy, time of these volunteer coaches and give them some knowledge so we can raise the level of playing here? Because again, it's pathetic to see or listen to parents that tell me, yeah, they asked me to be the coach, but I didn't know nothing about coaching or about soccer. Just tell them to kick the ball. Honestly, that's like, it's something more. We can do something more. And then the facilities to have a good soccer, to take advantage of that great natural talent for soccer from the kids. Would be great to have great, good facilities, or at least the standards, you know, not holes, not bad conditions, okay? Then it's not processed here. After 6th grade, it's not any competition for kids. And it's something that Dutch State is doing so different than us. Their high school coach is going to every game of the youth from 4 to 18. Their coach look for soccer camps because they have that process. They create competition for 7th graders until high schoolers, because here in the States, for example, here in Garden City, kids play high school from June to the end of the year. Then they have to wait until the next year, 6 more months, and all that playing time, that rhythm is lost. Same thing with middle school, and I deal a lot with that for 4 years. They play just for 3 months. Then 9 years they have to wait because, or they have to go out to play until the Dodge, Wichita, like we do, just because we don't have nothing here. And that process is cut. And that talent, that's why they beat us all the time. Honestly. And me being a coach, I wish at that moment to have something else. Because I will lose a month to prepare them to have the rhythm to go and get the level to at least play good against Dodge. That was the goal, to play good against Dodge, not to lose against it. We can do more. We can do much better than that.
So what are you looking for, Oscar?
Okay, if we can go to the next one, please. Thank you. Create an affordable system, okay, that can be inclusive for everybody. And I'm talking there, not for free like I started, but at very low cost, or create activities to make it affordable for people here, not just for youth, for everybody. Okay, and then I call it soccer studies, just prepare our soccer coaches. You know, I was before proposing, let's bring at least 2 coaches from the North American Coaches Association, so they can give at least the basic level of the license that FIFA requires. You know, so we can teach them more than just kick the ball and run after that. And then facilities, I think we can have much better than that. I told you before, we were working with the rec. We have no problem. We just want that better facilities at that moment. Then the creation of different teams and leagues. I'm proposing to create 5 different teams from 7th grade to high school, so we can keep them with that playing time. Once the school tournament starts, they can do much better. Then adults league for women and men, okay, and a seniors league, 30 years old like me and up.
That's a
okay,
senior?
because it is a requirement, because we have a team in the league called the seniors, but it's so difficult for them to win against 20 years old players, you know, so
Yeah.
they are requesting to create, and me too, because I'm over 30 with
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
tore my ACL, so
Sure.
I need that too. Okay,
Okay.
and if we can go to the next one, this is Fundación Merced. Fundación Merced is a soccer academy from Barcelona, Spain, that one of my neighbors in Honduras got selected, and they gave him a scholarship because of his talent. They pay for all his studies, for everything else. They just do not build a soccer player. They build a person, you know. And then they want to start working here. They know in 2026 the World Cup is going to be here, and they see how much is growing like the form soccer here in the United States. So they are thinking ahead, and they contacted me 2 years ago. Because of COVID, we cut everything. But part of the solutions I can see in this case is bringing them, because they want to start this year with 2 coaches, make a soccer camp for a month, work with our coaches, with our players, so we can start working in their European methodology. In this
Okay.
case, they are world champions, 2 World Cups ago, and they play so beautiful in the country. We could implant this for our kids here. I told you it's a long-term process. Then, if you can go to the next one, and this is pretty much what we really need right now. I told you is Global Soccer Academy, managing Bulldog soccer clubs and Gordon City Soccer League with Bulldogs Club. That's what we need, some jerseys. I remember, and I always will be thanking, allow me to say it, Mr. Troy was the first person through the Wolfen County donating us some soccer jerseys for our kids. Okay, so we're still dealing with that. Soccer balls, the soccer balls, they donate us one by one, magically, or I don't know, they disappear. People don't respect that. Okay, then we have this U17 years old, under 17 years old team playing adults league here. Let me tell you, we do this because we started with kids that were rejected, right? So the rest of the teams here, they make a tryout. They just select the ones that already know how to play. So me as a coach, to put our players to this level and catch them, I made them play against adults. I play with them, so they can, in a couple of months, get at that level. So 3 weekends ago, we played the final for the championship in soccer league in Wichita, beating everybody else. We got the second place. But
Congratulations.
the
That's
point
awesome.
is just make them play, because if it won't be like that, those kids won't be playing at that level. So one thing I struggle a lot, because I had to pay it from my pocket many of the times, or most of the times, the referee fee. That's what we're looking for help. Then in the Garden City Soccer League, that's pretty much, we would really would love that all our teams have a uniform. It's sad, I will say, and you know, we're living here. I told you the reasons why it's so difficult for people to afford playing soccer here in the United States. So it would be nice to have all our teams with the uniforms with the logo of the city of Garden City. That's how I visualize it. Okay. Then soccer balls for every team, women and men, and then we also made the Garden City Cup, where we invite teams from Liberal all around, even from Grademan. They came last year. We had about 18 teams last year. Free registration. That's what attracts everybody, and we are requesting. Last year the prize for the first place was okay. For the league, you have free team registration. But in this case, or this year, we'd love to have something more, so everybody can be more involved with that. And then the Merced Summer Camp 2020, the one I was talking about, that's what we need. Just accommodation for them for a month, and then a way to bring them here. I remember when this crew from CNN and made this Modelo thing, I was part of that crew working with them. That's how I met Mr. Shannon. Okay, and I think that's the way we could to build a global soccer complex. We have a partner. He is the owner of Salón Alegría. It's right next to Saints of Fun, I'm sorry. And he is allowing us to use a little corner of his land. I don't know how much he has, but he's just allowing us to do something like that. And the plan, excuse me, that's how we are planning. I just have to answer.
Sure.
Oscar, when is that cup held?
It's always 1 week before the whole league, the whole season starts, and we're planning to do it the first weekend of April. Okay, and then that's the locations. That's how we plan it. We want to build 2 fields, youth size and 2 adult size, and build it with the standards that Fundación Marcel from Barcelona is requiring. That's one of the biggest requires they have. Before doing the camp, they already are studying all the information about the Garden City, all the sports and everything. They want to bring someone, that is already working in the United States. He's located in Houston. He will come for 2 weeks to study the Garden City, so they can inform the 2 coaches that are coming here about what they have to expect. Okay, and that's why we want to go ahead with a complex like that, so we can continue with this consistent soccer program, and who knows, in 4 or 5 years we can be producing soccer players. And this is something amazing that this country offers. Around the world, if you didn't make it as a soccer player, good luck. If you didn't study or you don't know what to do. Here, you can use that talent. If you didn't make it as a professional, get a scholarship. That's my biggest goal or objective. Making the kids, okay, do your homework or don't come to practice even. Okay, so that's pretty much, and
Thank you.
Yeah,
Any other questions from the
No, that's
commissioners?
great. Yeah. So Oscar, as far as the $15,000 you're looking, have you talked to other, I know, like the Western Kansas Community Foundation or even the Bennett Foundation? Have you talked to them yet, or have you made this same presentation to them? I mean, it's really well done. I'm just curious.
No, everything what we have done until now, the parents of our players are adults players. All their support, that's all.
Okay.
And we'll love to have the support if it's not from the city, any other organizations like the one you are mentioning right now.
Have you had a chance to meet with Aaron yet, with Garden City Recreation Commission?
Yes,
You met with him?
yes.
Okay. Have you explored community grant side of that for?
No, listen, since last year, when we start with the Adults League, is when we start planning like that. So these are our first steps.
Okay.
Trying to, now that our build the whole idea, the whole thing, this is our first steps. Trying to find help or
Sure.
support. Yes.
I just want to say, Oscar, I appreciate your dedication and desire to do this. This is great. And I would like to, see this progress and not get, falling off the table or anything anywhere on the, just I would ask you just to keep asking questions, the references that other commissioners are giving you, I'd seek those out. I know you have the passion and the desire, so I'm looking forward to seeing this in fruition in the future. So I think you'll have all of our back, we'll have your back on any other questions that you have or any resources that you may want to reach out to. So, Aaron's been with the rec and now with Garden City, so his plans is to move Garden City forward as well. So I think there's just a lot of people that would actually help you out and guide you along the way. So don't stop asking questions, you know, just keep coming back or get with Aaron and then let us know how that goes. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Oscar. It's very well done.
And
Thank you.
Oscar,
Yes.
Mr. Commissioner Dick asked you about the community grant. It is something, it's a long time ago, the way that the city used to give out funds for different organizations, whether they be nonprofit or whether they be organizations like yours, was they would come to the commission, they would make these presentations, and they would ask the city commission for money. And that became very difficult for the commission to then decide in a meeting, well, how does this project compare to this project, compare to this project? So essentially what they set up is what's called the community grant. And the Community Health Advisory Board, which is the advisory board that helps with all health initiatives, advising the city commission on those, reviews those grants. We just went through the cycle, and they're on before the commission today, and they did make a determination to hold back about $13,000 for any grants that could come in for the rest of this year or for any grants for next year. If you get me your email address, I'm more than happy to send you the application for where you could apply for those funds. But generally, that would probably be the best place to request funds from the city commission if that's what you're asking for.
Perfect, thank
Okay?
thanks, Oscar.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
you. Thank you.
Good luck.
Good job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 6D, the governing body is asked to consider and approve event requests from Friends of Lee Richardson Zoo related to a Wild Affair 2021.
Welcome, Christy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we're having a positive outlook for the rest of the year.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I see that.
yes.
And so we're before you for the slate of events that the
This is
Friends
kind
has.
of your annual request. It's like
This is
what
our
you normally
annual
get.
visit.
Yes.
So the first one up is A Wild Affair, which the tentative date is September 4th with your approval. The request before you is to close on that day for setup, the ability to charge for attendance, and to serve alcohol during the event. And Jessica, the executive director of the Friends, is here if you have any other specific questions.
And this is like what we've done before in the past.
Yes.
Previous years.
And
So
then
far it
Jessica,
is.
What?
Except for last year.
So,
Well,
yeah, last year
of
you were not able to hold it,
Yeah.
is that correct? Last
Last
year
year
was
was canceled.
your... Okay,
Because of
So-
COVID.
Right.
Of course.
Yes,
yeah.
like it's been before that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, for various reasons, we didn't have our events. I mean, nobody planned on having a pandemic, so we really didn't know what to do. Jungle Run was more about the automobile show, just because we'd been closed up until about 2 weeks before that, which we didn't feel that we could hold an event well, just not enough time. And then, you know, other reasons, COVID or, you know, businesses being shut, different things like that. So everything's the same actually as it was last year and the year before that. I don't think we have anything new.
I didn't see anything different than what you
So-
guys have requested in
yeah.
the.
Mayor, do we need to approve
Passed.
these
Yes.
separately? Well, Mayor, I would move that we approve the event request from Friends of Lee Richardson Zoo related to Wild Affair 2021.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Unruh. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Dick. Any other discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed. Hi, Christy.
Item,
So we're being real optimistic about
Sure.
Jungle Run is the next event before you. It's the automotive or vehicle show at the zoo that happens on the West Green, and the date for that is July 10th. The request is basically to be able to charge an entry fee for those who come in.
Entertain a motion for that item.
I move to approve the request as presented.
Commissioner Wheeler made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ortiz. Any discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
okay. Item 6F, the governing body is asked to consider and approve event requests from Friends of Lee Richardson Zoo for Boo at the Zoo 2021.
So our third and one of our biggest and most popular events, Boo at the Zoo, is tentatively slated for October 16th. 23rd would be a rain date. So the request before you is to close on that day for setup, to charge attendees for an admission fee.
Entertain a motion for that item.
Move that we approve request to close the zoo for the day of the event, which is the 16th, for event setup, and then charge an attendees an admission fee.
Second.
Been a motion by Commissioner Dick, a second by Commissioner Unruh. Any discussion on that item? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank-
much, and good luck.
Thank you.
That'll be great.
All right. Item 7A, congratulations to Finance Director Hitz on the occasion of the city receiving the Certificate of Achievement in Financial Reporting for 2019.
Again, congratulations. It's
Great
like an
job.
annual,
Yep.
event, you know?
Let's keep it that way.
Right, definitely.
right. Here's the cake.
Just to mention for those watching, the certificate is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management. An award of financial reporting achievement has been awarded to Service and Finance Department under the direction of Melinda Hitz, Finance Director, as primarily responsible for preparing the award-winning CAFR. It's been judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, which includes demonstrating a constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial story and motivate potential users and user groups to read the CAFR. Thank goodness for Melinda Hitz.
That's right. Awesome.
Thank you, and good job.
And your staff is awesome.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to item 7B, Director of Aviation Powell will present the 2020 annual report for the Garden City Regional Airport.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And Jennifer, if you can help me by
I
going through.
I can try. If it's all right, when you're ready, I'll go to the.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just kidding.
didn't send that in a PowerPoint, so I apologize
That's
for that. So here's our annual report. We do have some information that comes in a little bit late, so that's why we're presenting it today rather than earlier in the year. So definitely the COVID pandemic has affected the airport operations and employment. So here in 2020, we finished the year out with 16,212 employments. And those numbers include some charter and commercial employments, and then the FAA will go through an audit and provide us the final numbers in roughly July 2021. Here's a comparison of Western Kansas. So Garden City is the bluish color, Hayes is the green color, Liberal is the orange color, and red is Dodge City. And so these are just commercial operations. So the first slide and the second slide are a little different due to charter information. So,
Rochelle, are there still the thresholds for a number of employments, or has that been kind of taken off since COVID, or?
so far there has not been any legislation that has changed that. So it's still the 10,000 employments.
Wow, okay.
I would assume that they would make some adjustments. However, there has been various different grants that the FAA has given out to help offset some of the expenses or revenue loss for airports. So that might be their fix rather than
Well,
adjusting that
congratulations.
number. So thankfully, we still made that 10,000 employments, which will equal $1 million in entitlement funding. So total commercial flight information. Total flights, we had 1,258. Total passengers, 32,675. And then you have your breakdown of revenue employments versus non-rev and deployments, which are people coming into Garden City, and non-revenue deployments. So, passenger facility charge, if you guys remember, is a $4.50 fee on everybody who flies out of our airport. 11 cents stays with the airline, and the airline sends us $4.39. We use those the revenue source to pay off the City of Garden City's AIP cost share in our project. So typically it's a 95-5 share. So with the 5% of the city, the funds coming in repay those funds that we allocated the original funding source from. So we finished up the first application, and we just started our second application, which consists of the wildlife fence phase 2, SRE building, SRE equipment, which is snow removal equipment, taxiway foxtrot, apron rehab, terminal area plan, and the airfield lighting control panel. So these projects bring us up just to the end of 2018 for these projects. So we're collecting on those right now. And here's a graph of the passenger facility charge. Typically, we get this information 2 months afterwards. So when you see your monthly reports, this information will always be delayed. So it's a nice revenue source for the airport. Air traffic control operations, these are the operations of any flights during the tower operation hours, which is from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. So it could be a flyby, it could be a touchdown, it could be a takeoff, or any type of combination of which. So those were a little bit lower compared to last year, but not traumatic compared to 2018. Fbo Fuel Sold, this graph looks a little low because we did sell less fuel. However, in the past, in 2019, the Fbo was the only provider of fuel. Since 2019, both of our ag sprayers now have been approved to fuel their own aircraft, so they're not buying fuel directly from the Fbo, they're buying it from another source. So this graph does show some reduced Fbo fuel cell, but that's part of that, but then COVID's part of that too, just slower. So the next slide shows this is a fuel flow revenue. So anytime the Fbo or the ag sprayers purchase fuel from a contractor, as soon as they get that fuel, they provide us a bill of lading that shows how many gallons they were provided, and then the city receives 6 cents per gallon of a fuel flow revenue. So this is a full picture of fuel coming to the airport, so it shows the Fbo purchases as well as the ag sprayer purchases. So this is a little bit better comparison and graph-wise. And then we're reviewing 2020 AIP airport improvement projects. So we completed the air traffic control radio and voice control switch, which was 100% city funds. That's not eligible for FAA or state funding, so we appreciate that contribution. The tower personnel really appreciate that, and so do our pilots. AIP 42 was a replacement of our beacon out at the airfield, which was a 95.5 match. AIP 43 was Airfield Markings, and that fell under one of the CARES funds that we received, so that was 100% paid from the FAA, and that was completed this year. And also we have the AIP 44 CARES Act operating and maintenance expenses. So if you remember, we were initially awarded $17.9 million, and then the FAA decided to issue a grant for operating and maintenance expenses for a 4-year period. So that's what the $5.6 million is. We did reimburse, ask for reimbursement for some of that, which is in the amount of $766,000, and so that funding we put into the general ledger fund to pay for the airport terminal project. And then on the next slide, if you don't mind going, we'll take the remaining of those funds that's left over and put it in AIP 46 for the terminal project, which is the construction. AIP 45 is currently underway, which is the terminal design, and that's about a 30% breakdown, with the city paying 30% of that because not all areas are eligible through the FAA program. So those are our projects. AIP 46 will be a big project, building a brand new terminal facility, so we're looking forward to that. And so just to recap, this is kind of a rendering of what the outside of the terminal is looking like, the cost breakdown with the base design and then the base plus alternatives. The alternates include the restaurant build outs plus equipment, as well as the connector piece between the terminal and the airport administration building. So that will be presented to you at the next meeting for consideration of the design on that. But just wanted to touch base again with the breakdown of the total cost between the CARES Act funding, FAA entitlement, local funds, and then a possible $2 million being reimbursed through the AIP project. And that is kind of a summary of 2020.
Michelle, I know you've had a huge turnout on pictures or
Yes.
photographs. Can you talk just a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So part of the terminal project, we have a feature wall in the terminal that we're looking to incorporate some of the beautiful scenery of western Kansas with sunrises and sunsets, and the colors using those as inspiration. So we're asking people to submit up to 2 photos to the airport, and to be considered to use that as that feature wall feature. We have received a number of beautiful pictures. It's going to be very, very difficult to select. However, we're still running that through the end of February, so if you haven't submitted your pictures, please do so. You can submit it to my email address or the airport email address. Just anything that you need, we can get you that contact information.
Any other questions?
I was gonna ask, so I quickly did some math on the employment numbers, and we're down about 35% from last year. Is that similar nationwide, or how do we fare compared to the rest of the nation?
We actually are above the national average as far as passengers, just because we're a remote location and the need to connect with the rest of the United States kind of at this point. So we are above the national average, but still it's been an impact.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks, Rochelle.
Alright,
Good
thank you.
job.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Commissioners, items 7C through 7M, it's a long list this week. Those items are all prepared by staff. Nobody's here to present on those, but they are available if you have questions on any of the material that was in your
I knew
packet.
there was someone that knew that was hired. They were here during the presentation last commission meeting at the zoo, and I was looking for that in the report. Maybe I missed it.
Say that again, I didn't.
Someone new who was hired at the zoo in the,
Oh,
and
yes,
I can't remember, and I was
yes.
going to ask Christy, and I forgot about that.
Christy, do you
Was
want
my
to,
note came
oh,
out.
she's gone.
Yep, yep. No,
Okay,
sorry.
so yes, there is a new hire, and he comes to us from San Diego, I believe. I wish Christy was here to expand on that, but he is, sorry. I got to talking too fast.
Oh, Aaron's here.
Aaron,
Aaron can probably tell you a little more about it. How about that? How about I just be quiet?
there you go.
Barely, but
Well, that's good, yeah.
his name's Joe. He's from San Francisco.
Okay.
Started a couple weeks ago. He's the new deputy director there. He's getting his feet under him, and will be making his rounds to meet other city staff soon. Any other questions? I'll try to
No?
answer.
Okay, no.
No, well, yeah, no, I just was, yeah, I noticed that he came to the last meeting, and I did get a chance to get around to meet him, and I didn't realize that's what his position was, but no, I appreciate that, and I was
Yep.
gonna catch Christy before, but.
No, that's perfect. He's replacing Max, if you guys remember Max.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I
He's
said,
filling
Max,
that
right,
role,
yeah.
so.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So item 8, meetings of note. There are several things on that list. Item 9 is the appropriation ordinance number 2525-2021A.
Entertain a motion for the appropriation ordinance.
I move that we approve the appropriation ordinance 2525-2021A.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Dick. Any other discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
All right, item 10A, the governing body is asked to consider and approve the request to repeal resolution number 2210, essential responders. Ally?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Yes, the request before you is to repeal resolution number 2210. That original resolution was created in April of 2006, and that governed our essential responders. Our city employee handbook does reflect this resolution and is governed by this. The essential responder category encompasses several employee groups that has changed now over the course since 2006. We now see increases in those employee groups, as well as increase in technology and access for employees in those groups. And so we are requesting to repeal that resolution and allow the city manager or designee, as well as council, to make changes to that policy, as is the case for all other city policies.
Entertain a motion on this item.
I move that we approve the request to repeal resolution number 2210.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Dick, second by
There's actually a resolution number.
Oh,
Resolution 2210.
No, there's a new.
new resolution.
Oh.
2867-2021.
67.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion
Do you want to amend it?
or amend your motion?
So would
Commissioner
this
Dick,
be
for-
approve resolution
2867
2867 to repeal resolution number 2210?
Yes.
Okay, that.
Sorry, I just saw your note. It's on the left-hand
There's a
side of the
second.
page. I didn't see it on the right-hand
Yeah.
side.
Yeah,
There's a
right.
second.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Dick made the motion. Commissioner Unruh made the second on that motion. Any discussion on that item?
Yeah, Commissioner Euler.
Oh, you
Second.
made the second. Okay, Commissioner Euler made the second. I'm sorry. Any other discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed. Thank you, Ally.
All right, item 11A, we are going to remove item 11A from the commission meeting today. I apologize, I realize we moved this from the last meeting. Randy and I had a discussion right before this, and we've got to get some more information before we can move forward on this. So I apologize, we will try and have it back before you by the next meeting.
Okay.
Jennifer, would you like to add the other resolution?
We
This
can-
Yes.
Emergency?
We could do that during, can we do that during, when Mike's talking to us about the,
It was a resolution, so I just,
do you want to do it now? I guess we could do it now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll make
What
this,
would be the resolution?
so we'll
number?
make this number 9,
2868.
and we'll call it 9B,
Mhm.
right? Okay. So we're gonna add a resolution to today's agenda. We're gonna call that item, we're gonna put that under consideration of ordinances and resolutions, 9B, and a resolution declaring that a financial emergency does exist for the city of Garden City. Melinda?
Just to give you a little background, normally this resolution comes before you after the city auditors have come in and taken a look at the books, and then we take a look at our cash balances. Actually, last week I was looking at cash balances, and there was one fund that I was having trouble with not declaring a financial emergency on, and that is the electric fund. Over the course of 2020, we had several major expenditures come out of the electric fund. The cash balance right now at the end of 2020 is sitting right at $100,000. That balance should be more like $4 to $5 million. We do have the reserve fund that does have a little over $4 million in it. But the operating fund is very concerning. As of yesterday, it got more concerning, and that is why we're bringing this resolution to you today, because we don't feel like we can wait. So I will read the resolution as it is presented to you, and then I'm going to have Mike Muirhead give you some information on why we're here today doing this. A resolution declaring that a financial emergency does exist for the city of Garden City, Kansas. Whereas the city of Garden City, Kansas has adopted financial management guidelines that include responding to a financial emergency. Whereas the circumstances identified in the financial emergency guideline have been unfavorably determined. Now, therefore, it is ordained by the governing body of the city of Garden City, Kansas, as of February 16th, 2021, City of Garden City is in a financial emergency. Going forward, we're going to be reporting to you on every 2-week basis to let you know where we stand financially in the electric fund. But I will give Mike Muirhead the mic to discuss what's going on.
Thanks, Melinda.
Thanks, Melinda. First, just a quick, let me give you a quick update on the cash balance and why it is so low prior to this event the last few days. The COVID sales during COVID, the retail and commercial sales in the electric utility is down approximately $1.75 million compared to what we had projected. We were able to track that back, and we know that for fact that that's the case with that. The other expenditure was planned. We knew that we were going to be spending those reserves as we prepared for the asset purchase agreement. We had made that presentation before to the city commission with the intent that when we close, that $500,000 per year I can't think of the term, the fee for the local access charge.
The tariff,
would go
you mean?
away. Yeah, I'm sorry. And then also with, on December 31 of 2020, a contract that we had with Heartland Power Providers, that contract went away. We would have that savings that would carry on through this year. So those were planned events. The event that got us to where we're at today, and I'll just real quick go through this whole emergency situation with SPP and everyone. First off, the good news is that SPP has lowered their emergency standing from, this morning we were at a level 3. At around 11:30, we went to a level 2, and they just recently lowered that to a level 1. So that means for the time being, everything is fine. There's enough generation to cover the load. No one is looking at curtailing any load anywhere in SPP's territory. However, the load will go up later in the afternoon, like it always does, and then it will come down, and then it'll peak again tomorrow morning. So we're really not out of the woods completely, but we're better off than we were late yesterday or early this morning. We, Garden City, are working with Sunflower Electric. They've been very good with us about putting together the shut-off list, that was the process that we would use in the event that we have to curtail load. How that works is SPP just gives a direct order to the transmission operators in different sections of SPP's territory that goes all the way from Canada to Mexico, and says, you need to shut off X amount of load. Sunflower immediately, they have no choice in the matter. They just shut it down, and that's the end of that. As of this morning, they had curtailed over 60 megawatts of their load. We were next on the list, or very close to being next on the list, so they work with us. We come up with a plan. In the event that we would get there again, they'll give us as much notice as possible, but could only be a matter of minutes, but then we will start our process. So hopefully we're out of that, but that's where we're at. Back to the financial emergency, what this put us into is the cost of natural gas has gone from $2 to MMBPU to over $600. Electric costs have skyrocketed from, on average of say $40 per megawatt hour, $40 to $50 per megawatt hour, to as high as $3,000 per megawatt hour. Even if you had contracts, this consists of an emergency situation, which allows us for the supplier to charge more. So therefore, that's the situation that we're in, and we fully expect to be paying a lot of money in the next, well, for the past 5 days, we're going to probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 million for power supply. As I explained earlier to you at the pre-meeting, on the reason we're not running Jameson Energy Center is because of the natural gas shortage. There isn't any gas to run it. We could get it, but it would be extremely expensive. And if we did get it and then something happened and we didn't use all that gas, there's a penalty, a huge penalty for not using that gas, because someone else could have used it and was generating electricity. So that wasn't a viable option. There was too much risk for that event to occur. In the future, absolutely, we consider running Jameson. We run it quite often, as a matter of fact, when it's more economical to do so. But during this event, it was not. An unprecedented event. Power being shut off from, like I said, from Canada to Mexico, in Kansas, Colorado, New Mexico, Nebraska. So that's where we're at, and that's why this emergency exists. Melinda doesn't get those awards for no reason. She wants to make sure that we're protected, and this is the appropriate steps to take, is to declare that emergency. And then in the event that we are eligible for some sort of relief from the federal government or from some other source, we have that in place as well. And like Melinda said, we will provide an update to you every 2 weeks as to where we're at. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I would like to say too that we appreciate everybody's patience. Jamie, the communications director, has been awesome on getting information out on all of our social media. And we understand the frustration. 1 minute we're at a level 3 talking about shutting the power off, and then 2 hours later we're not. And it's awful. And I understand it's concerning. What are you gonna do if the power goes out and it's 20 below zero? So hopefully we've managed through that, but we appreciate everybody's patience and putting up with that through the whole time. So.
Here, I have some questions.
Go ahead.
So, Mike, I'm curious about, I know that your linemen have been very busy and out and doing things. I'm curious about, have there been any downlines? Have they had to be out in the weather, making sure that things are working still, or?
Knock on wood, if there's any positive news in any of this, we have not had any power outages in Garden City. There's been a few trouble calls for minor stuff that usually occurs, but nothing major. We haven't had any outages reported. So that's good news for the electric side. While I'm talking about that, the water side, we have had multiple freeze-ups of water meters and those types of things. The water crews have been out busy for 2 days helping citizens thaw that out, and it's been unfortunate for that. And I'd also like to say kudos to the street department. I think they've done an excellent job of keeping the streets clear during the last, when it was snowing and 20 below zero, and they've done a very good job.
So I know you can only trust the weather so much of the time, but I'm curious about the anticipating when some of these things will return to more normal rates, or when, you know, maybe the threat level from the Southwest Power Pool goes away?
Yeah, I was just looking at SPP's cost model, if you will, that shows where the costs are right now and where they're expected to go. In 2 days, everything is expected to normalize, just mainly due to the weather, but there's conditions attached to that. There again, everybody in SPP's territory is generating as much electricity as they can, and should 1 or 2 power plants go offline for whatever reason, we could be right back where we are. So hopefully within 2 days, things will be normal, and I think prices will settle down, and I'll make a full report to Jennifer and Matt and Melinda just as soon as we know that.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Mayor.
any other questions? Entertain,
I just have
Oh.
one question with respect to the agenda. And the reason that this resolution was not on the agenda prepared last week is because it was an emergency.
Mhm.
Correct.
And are you putting it on under 10B?
Yes, exactly, Randy. I was gonna put it under 10B.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
So with
entertain
this would be resolution number
2868-2021.
Exactly.
Entertain a motion for this resolution.
I'll move to approve resolution number 2868-2021 for the resolution declaring a financial emergency for Garden City.
Second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Unruh. Any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Thank you.
That item passed. Thanks. Just keep us informed on how it's going. Thanks,
I
Mike.
will, thank you.
All right, we will move on to item 12, which is new business, and item A under that is the governing body is asked to consider and approve the distribution of the first portion of the $50,000 of the AFACT funds as recommended by staff. So, as you guys might all recall, we have split the $100,000 that we put out for AFAC funding. Now, 10% of that is put out by the county, so $10,000, and $90,000 is put out by the city. So what we do is we break that down into the smaller groups. So of the $50,000 that we give on the first and the second, 10% or $5,000 is put up by the county, and the other 90% is put up by us. That then breaks down depending on if we don't give out the full amount. So we determined that this first half would be completely reviewed by staff. As long as the request was below $6,000, I would review that as staff instead of having a committee for that, so that we could move it along quicker and we could get some of these agencies that were doing this kind of work funds. So we did receive 6 applications requesting a total of $31,884.70. All of the applications were attached to your packet on this item, and you can see that was from Big Brothers Big Sisters, Real Men Real Leaders, Spirit of the Plains Casa, Seeds of Hope Ministry, the Finney County Department of Corrections, Compass Behavioral Health, and you can see that for the most part, other than Compass, those requests were right at $6,000. Compass threw a wrench, I guess, in it and asked for $1,884.70, or I wouldn't have had to do any math at all.
That's good, math skills.
Yeah, I know, right? So as you might realize, that's only a portion of the AFAC funds for the first half. I'd like to see us get up to that 50. I'd like us to see us get more requests from that. But this will leave $18,115.30. The county commission, if approved by both the city and county commission, the county will pay 10% of this $31,884.70, and you all will pay 90%. It's my understanding that last year, the way we paid it out, that Matt's intention is that we will pay it out the same way this year, that we will pay it all in the first quarter rather than breaking it out over 4 quarters, because a lot of these agencies need it in order to survive. And so the recommendation from staff is to approve the full award with the total of the 6 agencies receiving what they requested. They all met the recommendation, or they all met the requirements of the first half of the AFAC funding.
Entertain a motion on this item.
I move that we approve the staff recommendation to reward $31,884.70 to a total of the 6 listed above agencies.
It's been a motion by Commissioner Dick. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Euler. Any discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Okay. 12B, the governing body is asked to consider and approve the distribution of the second portion of the $50,000 of the AFAC funds as recommended by Live Well Finney County Board. This is actually a combination, in here it says Live Well Finney County Board, but this is actually a combination of their board and their staff, because what we found is it was kind of complicated. They didn't always have a quorum during the period of time in which we needed to do this grant. So typically I get this information either from Callie Dyer or from Beth Coxel with Live Well Finney County. There were only 2 requests for the second half, and those were from Big Brothers Big Sisters and Real Men Real Leaders. Big Brothers Big Sisters requested $20,000, and the amount suggested to give to them is $10,000, and Real Men Real Leaders requested $7,000, and the recommendation was to give them $7,000. That would bring the total to $17,000 if you approved as it was recommended in this. You could make it, and you could alter the recommendation into something else, but the total amount available for this particular portion is $50,000.
Entertain a motion on this item.
So I move to approve, and then I have a question.
I'll
So-
second.
Commissioner Unruh made the motion to approve the item. There was a second by Commissioner Dick. Discussion?
So I'm curious concerning that, so I know that the other part had 6 applications, and was there a reason why this one had so few applications? Or?
Yeah, so the requirement for the second half is that, the reason we broke them down into this is because there was $100,000, and essentially what we'd have is we would have, in the past, going back, I've been doing this since I came to the city manager's office, Big Brothers Big Sisters was typically the only person who would have a big amount request. So they would request somewhere between $20,000 and $35,000, and everybody else would request very small amounts, like $6,000, and it'd be very specific projects. And we could look at them and we could know exactly what the dollars were being spent on. And with Big Brothers Big Sisters, it was more of like an operational type thing, which the grants were not. AFAC, that's not the purpose of AFAC.
Right,
AFAC
right.
is like very specific. It's under regulation by KSA 7941A04. So it was just getting to the point that it was very hard for the committees to discern who should get money and why, and there was just a lot of back and forth. And so when we came to you, we said, let's make this easy. If you're asking for $6,000 or less, let's get you in and let's get you out. If you're wanting more dollars, if you're wanting something more than the $6,000, which interestingly enough, you saw that Real Men Real Leaders requested in the first half, and then they requested for a different project in the second half because they wanted more than the $6,000. And so what we said is, if you're going to go into this second part, then you need to show that the monies that you are using are very stringent to prevention of alcohol and drugs. Like it can't just be like a correlation of, well, I go out and I offer this program and we hope that it's going to prevent them from using alcohol down the road. No, we want something that actually ties it to that. So that's what these come under, and it's supposed to go to something other than operation. It's supposed to be an actual project. And so that's where the second half comes from. And that's why there's a lot fewer requests, because honestly, there are very few people providing this particular service in our community. And the drive was that we hoped that there would be more of this, and that we would maybe get some new people interested in providing this service, because we need it. So that's the
No, I
best
appreciate
I can
that.
tell
I
you.
appreciate the explanation. I just was curious.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other discussion on the item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Okay. Item 12C, the governing body is asked to consider and approve the distribution of community grant funds as recommended by the Community Health Advisory Board. That's me again.
Yes.
The Community Health Advisory Board, several years ago in 2019, you all tasked them with handling the community grant application process, and honestly, they've gotten better and better at this every year that they do it. They are so diligent about going through these applications and the requests and really going back and forth. I did have to miss their meeting when they did this. I had to have Celine fill in for me. I think she appreciated that greatly, but they are extremely thorough, and now that we have 9 people, you can only imagine the questions that come from 9 people on these different projects and applications. So they received applications from 6 agencies that were requesting a total of $31,107.30. Normally, that would be just over what's available, as typically this fund would have $30,500 in it, but if you remember from last year, we had some rollover, and they actually had $43,500 available to use towards this. So on February 9th, the Community Health Advisory Board met, and they went through these requests, and they are recommending that they award $16,872.30 of that $43,500. As you go through this, you can see Community Daycare Center, they did award the full amount. They did put a caveat in there. Community Daycare only solicited one bid for their project, but it was because it was only, they found out like 2 days before the bid process. So they have requested that as part of their project that they do solicit 2 other bids before they award it to anyone. So maybe they can find some savings in there. St. Catherine Hospital Development Foundation, this project across the board for everyone who is eligible to vote on it. We did have a few board members who were not eligible to vote, but this was a big, they all thought this was a really great project. You'll see 2 stars by Russell Child Development Center. They were not eligible to receive funding because they did receive it in the past 2 years. And that was a rule that was implemented because we got so many community grant requests that was something that was implemented as part of the process. Miles of Smiles is receiving the $500 that they requested. Church of the Nazarene requested $5,000 and is receiving no funding. The committee just didn't feel, based on their discussion, that it met what they felt like the requirements were of the community grant. And then the last one is the Kansas Children's Service League, and they did give them some funding, but they didn't think that they weren't comfortable giving them the full amount. So they awarded them $3,765. So staff's recommendation here is to accept this recommendation from the Community Health Advisory Board. You could, of course, change this recommendation if you would like. This does leave $26,627.70 in the Community Health Advisory Board. You know, this would be still in the community grant that they could award later on. Now this is what I was telling Oscar about when he was talking about the soccer thing. But we also have other things happen. If you guys recall, Community Daycare had something come up in November where they had a water heater issue and a stove go out at the same time. And I'm sure all of you are aware that agencies across our community run into things. And it's nice to have that there. And to remind people, just because we've gone through this and just because we've awarded the money, if there's something left over, you know, it's available if something comes up and you can request that. And so that's their intention, is to hold it through the end of 2021. If something comes up, look at those applications. If not, roll it over into 2022.
But it is a good avenue for something like what Oscar brought forward to apply for and go through this process.
Definitely.
Entertain a motion on this item.
I move to approve the Community Health Advisory Board's request to award $16,872.30 to the agencies as presented.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
There's a second by Commissioner Dick. Any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Item 12D, the governing body is asked to consider and authorize staff to resubmit a 2023-2024 application for the geometric improvements on Kansas Avenue for the widening project, C-CLIP, to the Kansas Department of Transportation, KDOT.
Good afternoon again, Mayor and Commissioners. The C-CLIP is the City Connecting Link Improvement Program, and back in April of 2019, the City of Garden City entered a contract with KDOT for the reconstruction and widening of Kansas Avenue. This portion of the project was going to start approximately 130 feet east of 3rd and 4th Street, and then proceeds east to about 300 feet west of Belmont Place. That's the last section on Kansas Avenue, that widening to 5 lanes. The estimated cost of that project was roughly $1.3 million. The actual project cost after receiving the bids were $1.5 million. And the project would have been funded at 85% by KDOT and 15% by the city, with a maximum of $1 million to be paid for by KDOT. However, the governing body at its June 2nd, 2020 meeting concerned again about the financial impact to the general fund, to then the unknown effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and what that could have on our funding here at the city, rejected the bid and was directed staff to come back at a later date with the understanding they would reapply for that in the 23 or 24 or after that. So this application, this just we're asking authorization. If you want us to move forward, we'll go ahead and reapply for that in the 2023-2024 seat clip. The funding mechanism will be the same, 85% by KDOT, 15% by the city, with a maximum of $1 million by KDOT. And then the updated adjusted costs on this project, if you approve it and we did try to do it in 2024, would be roughly $1.6 million. If you choose to have us move forward, we will, and if you choose, we won't, but we'll need to put that application in before March 21st. So you can either authorize us to reapply for that application or do not authorize it. And staff recommends alternative one. There's no financial impact to make the application. We may or may not be accepted by KDOT for it. If we were, then we would come back at a later date and ask you for permission to move forward with some sort of contractual arrangement. So at this, you're not giving final approval to do that. You're just giving us permission to do the application if you so choose.
Entertain a motion on this item.
Mayor, I approve the authorized staff to reapply for the 2023-2024 C-CLIP Kansas Avenue widening project.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Euler. Any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Mayor and Commissioners, for item 12E, I need to get someone on the phone for part of that conversation. If you'll just give me a second to do that.
Sure.
One second.
This is Andrew.
Hey, Andrew, this is Jennifer with City of Garden City. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good, thank you. We are ready to take up item 12E. The governing body is asked to consider and approve the selection of an electric service provider for the recently annexed property in ordinance number 2871-2020 and number 2879-2020. Mike?
Okay. Again, good afternoon, Commissioners. The governing body was provided information at its February 2nd, 2021 meeting where city staff presented the requirements of KSA 66-1,176 regarding the selection of electric service provider for the two new annexed properties. Staff also provided the governing body answers to the factors set forth in KSA 66-1,176. Wheatland Electric Cooperative, Wheatland, was the electric retail provider for both areas at the time of the annexation. Wheatland made it clear to the City of Garden City's legal counsel that it was not interested in requesting a franchise to serve the properties. And just as a matter of note, there are no electric facilities on either property. Both of them are just little slivers of property, and those are attached in your packet. The next step is selecting electric service provider that the legal staff will discuss. The attached memos and options will give you guys, you can decide what you want to do at today's meeting. Alternatives is considering the factors. The governing body can decide to designate the city electric department as the retail electric provider for the annexed property. Or number two, considering the factors, the governing body can decide to designate another retail electric provider for the annexed property. And staff has no recommendation on that. I believe Mr. Schulte and Mr. Russell will talk about that, but I will cover the financial note. If any, the financial impact of any decision, of your decision, is determined by the extent of which the property will develop. A decision will have the city electric utility serve the property would mean that the city electric would assume the expenses associated with infrastructure and the power and the energy to supply whatever may go there. The city would also realize revenue from the development of the new utility accounts. If the decision is to grant a franchise to another retail electric provider, the city would not have any expenses but would realize a revenue stream from the franchise fee. So with that,
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
For the commission's information, Andrew Schulte, who is the Special Electric Utility Counsel with the Polzanelli firm, is on the telephone if you have questions. This is the process that the governing body has gone through on a few occasions within the last 12 to 18 months. And it's a statutory process by which the governing body considers the facts presented by Mr. Muirhead at a previous meeting, and then, based upon those facts, reaches a conclusion, adopts finding of fact and conclusions. The proposed findings of fact and conclusions are set forth in the memorandum of February 16, 2021. What Mr. Schulte and myself are asking the governing body to do is adopt the findings of fact, which start on page 1 of the memorandum. And based upon those findings of fact, then adopt the conclusions, which begin on page 4. Specifically, it's the recommendation of council that the governing body determine that the City of Garden City Utility Department shall be the retail electric service provider for the annex properties, and there's 2 tracts of property involved in this matter. And then that the governing body specifically find the conclusions in number 2 and number 3, and all of those findings and conclusions are required by state statute. Do you have anything to add, Andrew?
Thank you, Randy. I would just add that this process is required even if there are no requests for a franchise, which is the case here. Wheatland Electric, as Mike stated, has not requested a franchise, but the statute, and the statute was amended a couple of years ago by the Kansas legislature, and the amendment requires, this process requires the governing body to go through the factors and make findings, even if there's no other request. If the governing body wished, it could solicit proposals for from other retail electric service providers, but there's nothing that requires the governing body to solicit other proposals. The only thing that's required is if the incumbent utility, which is Wheatland here, if they requested a franchise, then you would have to consider that. Since Wheatland has not requested a franchise, the proposed findings and conclusions only consider the Garden City Utility Department as the potential retail electric provider, and we go through the factors for Garden City and find that Garden City, that it is in the public interest for Garden City to be the assigned retail electric service provider. Among other factors is the consistency within the city of a single retail electric service provider. And of course, the nearby facilities that Garden City already has in place. And if this is a proposed findings and conclusions, and so if there is anything in the memorandum that the governing body disagrees with, it's certainly within your power to modify.
Entertain a motion on this item then?
So just to clarify this, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, but so do we need to adopt the findings of fact on the memorandum dated 2/16/21 or the February 2nd, 2021?
I think the
No,
motion.
it's the memorandum I have is dated February 16, 2021.
Okay. So
And that includes the findings of fact specific to these 2 annexations, and then the proposed conclusion, which is set forth later on in the memorandum.
So Mayor, I would move that we adopt the findings of fact from the memorandum dated 2/16/2021 and the conclusions, and concerning the factors, designate the Garden City Electric Department as a retail electric provider for the annex property.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Dick. The motion was made by Commissioner Unruh. Any discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Andrew. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
12F, the governing body is asked to consider and approve an application to the Kansas Department of Commerce for Federal Community Development Block Grant, Coronavirus CDBG CV funds.
Say that 3 times fast.
Melinda?
Lana is not here today, so I'm going to try to take over on this. As you know, Lana's worked with a lot of businesses in the community, and one of the requests is for a CDBG loan with tequilas. It's not really tequilas as such, it's doing business as Casa Mariachi. They've requested $30,000, and that is for 10 full-time employees, and they are in the low to moderate income standards. So that is, the city does have those funds available in the Community Development Loan Fund, and so this is their request to disperse those.
And so the recommendations, either alternative 1 or alternative 2, can you kind of explain?
Our alternatives in here were from a previous memo, so what we're
okay.
requesting is to
Just approve?
approve
Okay,
the
okay.
loan.
So so what's the balance of the loan fund that we have available?
48,000 currently.
Okay, and so that's a revolving loan fund as we approve?
Yeah, and we're getting payments every month from
Okay.
all those loans that you dispersed middle part of last year.
So we'll entertain a motion for this item.
I move to approve the authorization of the submittal of the CDBG CV grant application to the Department of Commerce and pay the $15,000 administration fee.
There's been a motion, is there by?
No,
that's
the alternatives, I guess, are not.
Correct,
Oh,
just
Commissioner Dick.
approve,
The 30,000.
just the
Right.
approval of the
Yep.
grant request, or the,
Okay.
is it a grant? Or the
It's a
loan
loan
request.
CDBG.
request?
Yeah.
Loan request.
So do you want to amend your motion to
Yeah.
say that you will approve the loan request?
I will amend my motion to approve the loan request as presented.
Okay, there's been a motion by Commissioner Dick. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Euler. Any other discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Thanks for getting through that.
Thanks, Melinda.
Yeah, that was confusing.
Yeah. Hey, we got through it, so.
Item 12G, the governing body is asked to consider and approve the reappointment of Matt Bayer to the Garden City Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Aaron?
So Matt Beyer filled a position left vacant and served for 1 year, so he is eligible for a full 4-year term on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. Any questions about it?
Is he a principal at?
He is an assistant principal, he's the athletic director
That's right.
up at KH.
Good guy.
Entertain a motion for this item.
I move that we approve and reappoint Matt Beyer to the Garden City Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ortiz. Any discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed. Commissioner Unruh made the motion. Ortiz made the second.
Did it just turn off? Odd. Okay. Item 12H, the governing body is asked to consider and approve Holly Karhoff to fill the vacant term on the Parks and Tree Board.
So same thing here, we had we were back here in January, and we approved a person to sit on that board, and subsequently, after we did that, they actually turned that down, and through the internet solicitation, Holly popped up and had interest in serving on the Park and Tree Board, and she's in front of you today to be appointed to finish out that term, which expires December 31, 2022.
Entertain a motion on this item.
Mayor, I move to appoint Holly Karhoff to serve the remaining term of the open position on the Parks and Tree Board, expiring December 31st, 2022.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Euler. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Dick made the second. Any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Okay, item 12I is the consent agenda, and there are 3 items on that consent agenda. If there's no reason to pull them off or any questions, you can take all 3 together.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda items 1 through 3.
There's been a motion to approve the consent agenda's item I 1 through 3. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ortiz. Any discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
All right, we're ready for item 13, Commissioner reports.
Commissioner Unruh.
Well, I want to first off say congratulations to Melinda Hitz and the whole finance department. I think they do an incredible job, and if the way that they manage the city's finances and the way that they manage just helping people pay bills, oftentimes you see the cars out in the parking lot or cars around the corner, paying through. So I really appreciate all the work that they do. And there are lots of ways to pay your electric bill. I really enjoyed the water reclamation presentation. Water is a huge issue in western Kansas, and the more we look at it, and it's something that we've got to do something on this. I mean, as a city, I hope this year we really talk about what things that we can do and really do some practical thinking and actually action about some of those items that was presented by Fred Jones. It was an excellent presentation. It just brings to light that water is a precious resource. It's probably our most precious resource. So then if we want our children and our children's children to stay here in this area, it's really now is when we have to do something about it. I did want to say how much I enjoyed the video by the fire department. I mean, what an excellent, I hope is it out there on Facebook yet? Or it was really, really well done. I wanted to say that when the chief was here, really excellent. I really appreciated the video. It was a different way to present an annual report. And I also just wanted to say thank you to the Emmaus House. I know that they, and to Tyson, the Emmaus House, and a lot of people have stepped up, especially during this time of cold, to really protect people and make availability shelters, And I know that the city had a part in organizing and coordinating that, along with several other agencies. But I just wanted to highlight, Emmaus House was generously given by Tyson a walk-in freezer, to really meet the needs of people who have less opportunity at food. So I really I appreciate the way that we as a community really pull together, that we make sure that our resources are our community's resources, that really it's really us, and then that we really do help a lot of other communities. So I just wanted to highlight that and say thank you. And Chief Beatty, thank you for that excellent video. I was very impressed. But I just wanted to say thank you again to just all the way that people are stepping up in times of need. I don't want to hear the word unprecedented anymore, not from Mike, not from anybody. But when that does happen, I am so grateful that we have a plan and we move into action, that we are not reacting, but we are proactive. Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Ortiz.
Yeah, ditto on Commissioner Unruh's report. I also would like to thank Oscar for coming in and just, individuals like that in our community. We're just so blessed to have people like that, professionals, and then just to recognize, the future and the opportunity of Garden City. Kudos to those as well, the new employees at the zoo and elsewhere. Just like I said, we have opportunity out there, but there's also those who are unfortunate and are, losing jobs. So seek out that information on the Finney County website. They do have HHR program that you can, get help with assistance for your electrical and other sources. So, but there's another one that's coming out that's new that they proposed this morning in their meeting. So I don't remember what that one was. I believe I have it written down somewhere. It's the Kansas Emergency Relief Program that's coming out in August, and that one does not have a cap on it. So they're going to be putting that out here so that anyone that's affected by COVID and has stress on bills and those rent, they'll help with that. So contact those. So if you're struggling, Garden City is is willing to help in any way possible. So, I mean, I applaud us on that, I applaud the city and the county both to put out those resources for them. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Euler.
Well, to kind of expand on what Commissioners Unruh and Ortiz talked about, and that is that right now we do have shelters available in the community and housing for those who need it. There are some numbers to call. The Emmaus House at 275-2008, or Catholic Charities at 272-0012, or Finney County United Way at 275-1425, or you can call the emergency manager, Stephen Green, at 295-0712. We've been, all weekend long, phone calls came in, and there are also some emergency shelters in place that, if needed, we're ready to go ahead and open those. They have not needed to be open yet, but the housing has already been met between Emmaus House and Catholic Charities. They've just done a wonderful job of doing that. So you can also go onto the Facebook pages of some of those agencies and find out a little bit more information. And also the library has all of those phone numbers on their electronic sign as well. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Dick.
Right, the first thing I'd like to say is, since National School Breakfast Week is coming up, just appreciation to our school lunch staff and what they did, especially during remote school. My kids were actually excited yesterday when school was canceled, because they said then they get to go across the street and pick up a lunch, and they were looking forward to that. And I said, well, not this time, but I think it did leave a positive impression of our community and those people, and so they did a really good job, and they continue to do a good job providing for our community. I had a chance to give a presentation to Real Men Real Leaders, as did Mayor Cessna. Really great group of kids. Their organization did a really good job. It's talking about learning about civic. That's kind of like what they're doing this month is civic leadership and learning about things like that. So I was really happy to be able to present to them about some stuff, and they were very excited about Garden Rapids. Not so excited about the process of an ordinance, but the water park they're pretty excited about. So that was fun to see. And then special thanks goes out to the water crews that are going and helping people at this time. I mean, a historically cold spell that we've had in Garden City. Thanks for taking the time and getting everybody solved with the problems that they have.
Yeah, I would just kind of echo what all the other commissioners, it's kind of hard to go last, but, and I agree, the kids, we went through the process, and the kids were more excited about the features at the water park and when it was going to open, and, all the fun amenities that we were going to have. So, but a great program in our community, really building those students that are in that program, really building and working to build leaders for our community. Did attend I attended a dinner with our police chief candidates. It's going to be a hard decision. We've got 4 outstanding candidates that are looking to be the next chief of police for Garden City, and I know they'll pick the best one that'll best suit and fit our community, and that'll be here for years to come. Talking about police chief, I noticed that the Garden City Police Department Explorer program is taking applications for that program, and that's for students that are ages 14 through 21. Great program, builds leadership skills, volunteerism, really kind of grows our own in our community and for the department, and they've been going to a lot of competitions but a really great program that has been started at the Garden City Police Department. And again, I'd like to thank our community as a whole, getting through this time where we've seen extremely cold temperatures, everybody working together. I know, especially our city staff, and communicating what's happening. I know across not only the state, but through the whole center region of the United States, I've been getting texts from family members going, they're getting rolling blackouts in their communities and their areas. So thanks to our staff for working diligently to keep the lights on in our community. And on that, if there's no other comments, we'll call this meeting adjourned.